ranking every trainer in the ATR from strongest to weakest. In order to count for the purposes of this list, that trainer must battle at least one time in the ATR. At number 14, we have Joe. The problem with Joe is that his character was to introduce type advantages and how type advantages won't always get you the win in a battle. And while this is interesting, it makes Joe look really weak as he gets one-shotted by Brock's Geodude. At number 13, we have Samurai. Samurai is an alright trainer. However, his only battle against Ash ended in a sweep, with Kakuna beating both his Pinsir and Metapod. At 12 and 11, we have Jesse and James. The order doesn't really matter, as the two are very weak. However, the reason why they are above Samurai and Joe is that they at least provide a little bit of challenge to Ash. At number 10 is the Gentleman. This guy got off-screened by Gary. At number 9 is generic Team Rocket grunts, specifically from episode 2 in the Mount Moon encounter. This is because they actually press Brock pretty hard, and it takes Ash's Pikachu to knock them out. And with the team of Zubat and Rattata, they are actually pretty solid. At number 8, we have Giselle. Giselle, while having the worst win rate out of any trainer, actually has some pretty impressive feats by going toe-to-toe with Ash and pushing AJ pretty hard. However, her problem is that she can't win a battle. At number 7, we have Misty. Misty's biggest problem is that her best battle was when her only KO was against a Psyduck, which couldn't use any moves unless it had a headache. Which I just think is very disappointing, as she was built up to be decent in episode 1. Just missing the top 6, we have Brock. Brock is pretty solid, all things considered. He was able to beat Ash's Pikachu, be it with a major type advantage, and he was able to tie with Ash's Beedrill, which is incredibly impressive, as Beedrill by this point is Ash's strongest Pokemon, at least in my opinion. Starting the top 5 is Surge. Surge is a ruthless gym leader, and his feats talk for themselves. Starting off, he destroyed Ash's Pikachu, and in a flashback, his Electabuzz beat Brock's Onix. Note that Electabuzz is at a major type disadvantage here, and yet it still wins. At number 4, we have the main character himself, Ash. Ash is seen as a pretty strong battler, all things considered. However, he still does have some problems. His Psyduck can't swim, and it doesn't seem like he has any control over his Ninetales. This can be seen in his win rate, which is just 59%, while the other trainers I will be talking about have 100% win rates. However, we can't really fault Ash on that, as being the main character, he has the most battles, which puts him at the most disadvantages. At number 3, we have AJ. AJ is a pretty good battler, all things considered. His training methods are brutal, however his Pokemon do get the rewards of them. In his battle against Giselle, where he basically destroyed her, he said it was one of the closest battles he had, and that is insane, as calling that battle close would be like calling Ash vs Gary close, which is actually our next trainer, Gary. Gary is one of the 3 trainers from Pallet, and the professor's grandson to boot. All of this is shown in his battling, where in his 2 battles, he is able to destroy the Gentleman and humiliate Ash. Note on the Ash one, Ash is the 4th strongest trainer in the ATR, so Gary easily beating him shows how much stronger he is than Ash. That leaves 1 trainer left. At the number 1 spot, we have Green. Green is by far the strongest trainer in the ATR, no questions about it. She beat all the trainers on Nugget Bridge by herself, and then discarded the Nugget like a goat. She humiliated Ash, however, unlike with Gary, who just did it to Tangela, Green did it to both Tangela and Pikachu, And the Pikachu one is the most important, as Pikachu is Ash's main Pokemon. Some people would even argue it's his strongest. And to see Green destroy it like that is insane. Her Growlithe one-shot a Mark, which was terrorising a city for a long time, and just everything about her makes her by far the strongest trainer in the ATR. Or at least in my opinion, as you can tell me your opinions in the comments below. So don't forget to keep whooping.